It started out with a really large pyramid. It's huge. It's bigger than the pyramid in Giza. I'm getting humans, but I'm not so sure they're humans because they're way bigger, like 10 feet tall, really huge. So we opened up the envelope and inside it said Mars, 1 million years BC. And I said, wow. Everything that's actually on the ground I described.
I'd like to talk about some of your other remote viewings. Now, one in particular I'd like to discuss is you were tasked with remote viewing Mars, from what I understand. And the time period, I believe, was 1 million BC?
Yeah, 1 million BC.
Who was that directed by?
Well, when it was tasked, I was sleeping in the industrial cube, the sealed cube in Bob Monroe's lab at the Monroe Institute, because we had been working on going out of body and controlling it. And I was exhausted. So we've been working. This was Sunday, I think. And he woke me up, and I said, yeah, I'm awake. What's going on? He said, well, I have some people here from Department of the Army, and they have a target for you. And I said, okay. What do you want me to do? He said, well, he said, I have an envelope here. There's nothing written on it. It's in my pocket. Tell me something about it. So it started out with a really large pyramid. And I said, first thing, words out of my mouth was, this must be a new discovery. And he said, why do you say that? And I said, because it's huge. It's bigger than the pyramid in Giza. Must be a new discovery somewhere. And then he said, well, tell me something about it. That's what I want to know. And so I said, it's got really large rooms inside. It's kind of surprising because the way pyramids are built, that can't be done. You can't have large rooms inside because of the weight of the construction. So it must be some new form of construction. So are you sure this is not a new discovery? And he said, just tell me what I need to know. So I said, well, it appears to be some form of protection of survivors of some cataclysm. And they're in stasis. They're waiting for somebody to come. I said, but I think it's too late. I think they're all dead. And he said, why do you say that? And I said, because I feel like the messages I'm getting are like leftover mental images, things that they pass differently from normal or something like that. So he asked me some other questions. He moved me around in the target and asked me some other questions and things. And it turned out there were 6 specific targets that I was given in that particular case. And all 6 of them I described exactly what was standing there. And when I say that, I mean what was also pictured in negatives by JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, California. And so I finally said, it's like a special race of people or something. I'm getting humans just like we are, but I'm not so sure they're humans like we understand human, because they're way bigger. So what do you mean? I said they're like 10 feet tall, really huge, but they're proportionately the same and very human-like. So I don't know what's going on here. I said, and the sun looks really weird. And he said, I don't care about the sun. Tell me more what's on the ground. So he was being a pretty good monitor at the time. And so we basically finished the whole line of it. And I came out, I said, what's going on? And I was introduced to these people. And the guy that had brought them was Fred Atwater, my old training officer. So this was, as far as I was concerned, was an active mission because we were still doing remote viewing with the project. And so I said, so where is this? Is this a new discovery or something? And he says, well, Bob's got the envelope. It has a target identified in it. And Bob, oh yeah, I got it right here. And he pulled it out of his shirt pocket and was opened it up as an envelope. Nothing written on it. And so he opened up the envelope, and inside it said Mars, 1 million years BC. And I said, wow. I mean, what are you going to say? But everything that's actually on the ground, I described. There is what I decided to do was the next time I was in California, I was going to go by JPL and get copies of the negatives because somebody said, oh, that's all BS. And I said, no, I think they're pictures, specific pictures for the different GPS locations. See, these were all GPSs that they read to me while I was in the box. The GPSs, in my mind, were for Earth. I never heard of GPSs for another planet. It turns out every planet in our universe has got GPSs that match the Earth's because they're all spherical, as well as the moons and everything else. So I didn't understand it to be off the Earth. I thought GPSs only worked on the Earth. So that's why I kept thinking it was a new discovery. But it turned out I went to JPL and I walked up to the counter and I had the actual card that had the GPSs written on it. 6 or 7 GPSs. I think there were 7, and I just didn't do the 7th because I was too tired. I worked on it for maybe an hour and a half. And I was tired anyway from working all day. So I walked up to the desk, and the guy said, can I help you? And I said, yeah, I understand all the pictures taken in space belong to the American people. And he said, of course they do. It's taxes paid for them. I said, okay, I'd like to see all the pictures for these GPSs. And he took one look at the card and said, oh, that's the old city on Mars. And opened the drawer and pulled out a packet and handed it to me. And inside the packet are all the negatives. And I blew up the negatives, and guess what's in my book? Everything I described. An old fort, pyramids, big impact crater with a road running through it. There's a road runs straight as an arrow for 1,200 kilometers on Mars that go right through the heart of a huge impact crater. And where the road come through, you can see where the impact crater has been modified to let the road through one side and out the other. Now, here's the thing that made it real for me. The outer edges of the impact crater, they know how tall the edges are of the impact crater because there's a half-inch of shadow line around them. And they know the angle that the picture was taken and from where, and the sun's position and all that. So they can tell you that the half-inch of shadow line around the outside edge of the impact crater tells you that it's 3,000 feet high, the walls of the impact crater. That's not really a super high wall on an impact crater, but what they don't tell you, and it's shown in the picture, is in the upper rim edge of the impact crater is a little triangular piece sticks out on the side of the impact crater. That had to have been put there by somebody.
Time doesn't slow down, and really, you shouldn't either. We all sit around and say, oh, I'll get to that later, but some things shouldn't wait, like protecting your family's financial future. Fabric by Gerber Life is term life insurance you can get done today. It's made for busy parents like you, all online, on your schedule, right from your couch. You could be covered in under 10 minutes with no health exam required. Fabric has flexible, high-quality policies that fit your family and your budget, like $1 million in coverage for less than $1 a day. If you have kids, and especially if you're young and healthy, the time to lock in low rates is now. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their family. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/srclips. That's meetfabric.com/srclips. MEET fabric.com/srclips. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company, not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions.
It's a construct. It sticks straight out at a perfect 90-degree angle. It goes like that.
Is it part of the pyramid?
No. It's part of the wall of the impact crater. So you got an edge up here, 3,000 feet up, and there's a triangular piece that sticks out and goes back in. And on top of that is a pyramid. It looks like a pyramid, because you're looking straight down on top of it. The shadow from that pyramid that you're looking straight down on top of is 2.5 inches out. Now, if the impact crater has a 1/2-inch shadow and it's 3,000 feet tall, how tall do you think that 2.5-inch shadow is? It's up there. I said to the guy at JPL when he showed them to me, I looked at it. I said, how tall do you figure this is? And he said, really tall. And I said, well, okay, how did it get there? It had to be put there after the impact crater hit. After that thing that made the impact crater had hit Mars. It couldn't have been put there before, because the impact would have
Destroyed
blown it away. I said, this thing is literally tens of thousands of feet tall. What the hell is it? And he said, well, a lot of people think it's a shard. It kind of grew there. And I went, I started laughing.
It grew.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure this thing grew there. But who built the support for it on the edge of the impact crater? Well, nobody knows about that. It's anybody's guess. So there's no doubt in my mind that what they're saying about this old city is true, because that's true. I mean, why? It's like I ask questions about it, and they just look at you like you're stupid and say, well, we don't know. Why did you take pictures of that area of Mars? We don't know. How do you think that got? Well, we don't know.
I mean, what is your thought process after that?
I happen to think the only aliens on our planet is us. And I have good reason to say that. I think we're the aliens on this planet because we don't give one rat's butt about this planet. We take and take and take whatever we want from it. We don't give a damn what happens to the climate, the planet, or anything else. We have shit so badly in our nest that you see people dying left and right of more and more cancers, and we got to go, I wonder why that's happening. It's stupidity. It's God almighty. But everybody wants to think we're the master race. We are human beings. We own the world. The Bible says, take control. Sounds apolitical to me. Maybe just a hint.
I mean, is that disturbing to you at all?
Very much so, yeah. Very much so. That everything on this planet, but human, cares about this planet. If a group of wolves, let's say wolves out of Alaska, if they run out of food and they can't hunt food anymore where they live, they kill off their young, they kill off their dead, they move to a place where they can find game that they can eat. Only the strong survives, but they do it to save their family unit. And they only kill and eat what they need to kill and eat. They don't do it out of savagery, and they don't do it because they're bad. They do it because they're in tune with the very world that they live in. They understand it. They operate within it. They do what's necessary to survive only. There isn't another animal on this planet that doesn't do the same thing, except for human beings. We just take what we want, and it doesn't matter what it does to the planet. And we just keep doing it over and over and over. And it's about power, money, influence in the governments of the planet, and it's a predominant reason for war. You know, it's what keeps the coffers filling up. It's part of how we can produce something that gives us lots of money back that we can enjoy. And all it costs is a little war here, a little war there. And you know you can't not buy more airplanes or tanks because it takes 12 states now to make a tank. That's 125,000 jobs that would disappear overnight if we didn't buy any new tanks. So you have Model 2, Model 3, brand new kind, bigger gun, you know, faster tracks, whatever. You know, we just keep reinventing reasons for that stuff. Why can't we decide to put everything back to normal and stop all the foolishness and pay people to do that? That seems to me to be a more realistic way to live on a finite planet where we're not going to kill ourselves or ruin it or in some way destroy the very thing that supports us. I think we came here because of something that happened on Mars. Were we the cause of it? Who knows?
Do you ever look more into previous viewings out of curiosity? Like perhaps
No, I can't. I can't do that. I can't target myself because then I know what I'm working on.
Makes sense.
There are things that I will work on where I know what it is I'm working on, but only because the answer is completely unknown to anyone. That might be I don't know, who broke into the big museum in Boston and ripped off 3 of the finest pieces of artwork ever stolen. And where did they go, and who owns them now? I happen to think they're in private collections, and they go into these vaults and sit in front of them once in a while and go, oh, I own it. Oh, you know, that kind of stuff. Stolen for a reason, that kind of thing. But, I mean, I don't know.
Let's talk about Skinwalker Ranch. Did you have any affiliation with that?
Yeah, I was asked by Bigelow to target Skinwalker Ranch when he owned it. I guess he owned it. I'm not sure if he owned it or...
From my understanding, Robert Bigelow owned it previous to Brandon Fugel.
Right. That's right. Well, this is back when he owned it. And he asked me if I needed to go there, and I said, no, I don't need to go to Skinwalker Ranch. He asked me what was going on there, and I said, I suspect there's something bizarre going on there that no one's faced before. But then there's lots of places like that all over the planet. And it's going to take an involved amount of study. You're going to have to spend a lot of time there and do a lot of things you might not want to do. It's going to be expensive. And as soon as I said that, well, can I hire you to come out and take care of that? No. Because I'll never live where you live. I'll put it that way. I think he's an interesting guy. I think he's got a lot of interest in different things that he's trying to accomplish, and I wish him all the luck in the world. But I don't need to be part of it. And I kind of blew it off a little bit. I did some remote viewing for him, but I didn't come up with anything significant. So I think he and I just decided to go our separate ways. I think they're over excited and over exercising themselves over this ranch. I think there's probably some bizarre stuff happening there, but it has more to do with its location than it does anything else. There might be, I don't know, huge electromagnetic deformity there in some way that affects machines and cows and people and whatever. But I don't think it's anything UFO related or mysteriously related to anything. I've never really seen a really good mystery other than maybe the guy in the incredible armor in Thailand. But
well, the city on Mars seems
that's pretty far out there. But I have no reason to think it's not real.
Well, I didn't mean that.
No, I understand what you were saying. I understand very well what you were saying.
This is something I'll be thinking about until I die. I guarantee it.
My problem is when you do remote viewing, I can't control what they target me against.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as some people are in charge of that, they want to get involved in that and know that I'm a very good remote viewer, they usually try to generate that kind of stuff. I can usually tell when I'm being fished. So I try to give as honest an answer as I can in terms of what I'm sensing. But if I feel like I'm being used in some way, they don't get anything.
Gotcha.
I just don't do anything. I just say, sorry, nothing's coming in. Have a nice day.
Can you remote view into a different dimension?
I suspect it's possible. The only reason I say that is because I've done some remote viewing on some things that are probably operational in other dimensions. Trying to think of there's one project that was going on. It had to do with a certain kind of transmissions, but I can't think of it right now. It was a form of transmission that could not be seen or picked up on in this reality. It was like transmitting sideways through our time space, but it couldn't be sensed or picked up on. It had to be in sync with whatever it was receiving, and I can't remember the details of that. But it had to do with some mysterious things that were happening around a ship. And I did some remote viewing on that. I can't think of a single target that I've been targeted on that was not doable.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.